Hey, and welcome back to the Wicked Wild Podcast, a feral podcast for the uncivilized horror fans. Welcome back to week 2 of Camp Wicked Wild. We're so excited. But before we get into our movie review, we're going to introduce you to the hosts with the mosts. We'll start with John up in Michigan, the greater Detroit area. And obviously, the question this week I have for you, John, is were you ever a scout?
Man, that was a brief season for sure. I did the Derby, and then after that was all done, I don't think I got one badge, and I was like, yeah, I don't like this.
It wasn't for you.
No, I mean parts of the activities are fun, but the meetings weren't the fun part. Like they're just literally they were adult meetings for children. They were the dumbest things in the world.
Like parliamentary procedure and all that.
Right. Okay. This is what we're planning to do. This is when we're going to do it. And nobody ever did it. Kids would cancel. Parents were like, yeah, we're too busy this week. It was awful. It was.
Yeah. Sounds like you had a rough little den.
Yeah. And that wasn't even Cubs. That was Cub Scouts, not even Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
I was saying, how many scout companies did you fail in?
We just did the Weeblos.
And then we've got Jaime up in New York City. How's it going, Jaime?
Hi.
And I know that you have referenced on a couple of our episodes your vast experience in the scouting world with your mom as your leader. Is that correct?
She was for a period of time.
So
I
what's your
hated it.
favorite memory of scouting?
Oh, I don't have one because I hated it.
You hated every
people could say, people could say what they want about it, and it's funny because it's one of those things that, as you get older, I'm kind of an adult now. You look back and you're like, oh yeah, my parents were right about this, that, the other thing. Maybe I shouldn't have gotten tattooed at 16 or, put 8,000 piercings in my body. But one of the things she said was that I would look back fondly on Girl Scouts as I was forced into it through way later than any person wants to be in Girl Scouts, much like the guys in this movie. And I can tell you now at an age that I'm not saying, I still fucking hate it. And I still regret being in Girl Scouts because you know what? There was no bonding. There was no kinship. They weren't my friends. And none of my friends were in Girl Scouts. My friends, we were doing whatever.
You threw rocks at the Girl Scouts.
And hanging out in places we shouldn't be and whatever. But it just, those people weren't my people. So I was forced to hang out with them on a weekly, I guess. I'm assuming it was weekly. I can't even remember basis. Yeah. It's much my feelings towards sororities and fraternities. I'm not paying you dues to be friends with people.
Yeah,
that's not how this
friends,
works.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's not like it was miserable. Everybody was very not, it just wasn't my crowd.
Well, I just always felt like, because I was a older brother to a sister who was in Girl Scouts, and my mom was the Girl Scout leader. And every year, even as a kid, every season that they had the Girl Scout cookies, you just felt like a friggin' drug dealer. Like you were.
Yeah, we never went really beyond the family. I mean, it was one of those, I'm close with a lot of second cousins and aunts. And so you just bring it to a few Sunday Italian dinners or whatever. And you're done. Everybody in the family buy a goddamn box or whatever. And then you're done with it. I will say it did help with scholarships for college. Oh. That's about it. It was right up there, because I went to I don't remember what they are, but the gold award, the top, the end of the Girl Scouting thing with all the community service.
You did the Eagle Scout.
Yeah, I went the put it on my college resume route.
Well, impressive.
Wait, hold on a second. I did not know this. Jaime, when you were in Girl Scouts, did your mom have you guys do a Girl Scout activity at the PP asylum?
At the
because your parents were breaking into this abandoned asylum, and now I'm finding out she's a Girl Scout leader, taking you guys into weird places.
No,
she didn't take you bowling in that weird place that smelled like pee.
That place was closed. It's a college now.
I got all excited, and now this just happened to be lame, and now I'm disappointed.
I'm sorry. Hate to disappoint you. I do that to a lot of people.
Cheers.
Well, and that's that handsome voice you hear is my Pittsburgh buddy, Eli. How's it going, Eli?
Me, living the dream.
And I don't want to spoil it, so you get to tell the story twice and everybody else gets to enjoy it. But you were telling me before we started recording today your scout history.
Yeah.
So share that.
2 meetings. I grew up in a wonderful, exotic rural lands in West by God, Virginia. when I was in grade school, they brought in the scouts. We had 2 meetings and a half an event, if you want to call it. The first meeting we made walking sticks, which was really they just had wooden dowel rods and we just painted them and said they were our sticks. And then
Did it have peanut butter on it? And
they didn't have peanut butter on these ones, surprisingly. And then the second meeting, the scout leader was like, "Oh, we're doing a derby next week. Here's all the derby cars and wheels are on. You guys are going to paint them, but what we're also going to do is we're going to fill them with pennies and then just glue the bottom back on the square so it'll go real fast." And we're like, "Oh, okay." So he had a big bag of pennies, we poured them in there, shittily glued the square back in. Like, you could tell there wasn't anybody hiding anything. Like, I'm pretty sure if I remember, mine had the glue because it was like that real thick wood glue. I had glue stalactites hanging off the bottom of my car. I think I painted them. So we all painted them.
Craftsmanship wasn't the big issue.
Listen, I was like, "Oh, Batmobile's got pointy stuff on it. It's got pointy stuff on it." We all go to the event. The judges, first off, when we're walking in there, you could hear our cars, all the pennies inside of them. And then the judges like turned them over and looked at the bottom and then felt that they all weighed like 10 pounds each and disqualified all of us. So none of us got to race in the Derby.
Not a single member of your den got to race.
And I'm pretty sure they disbanded it because we didn't have any meetings or anything after that. Like, it was just done. And then if I remember correctly, a couple years after that, they tried to reform it and they did not ask a single original member to be part of it again.
They didn't want any of you. You were all rejected.
We were a dark stain on the clean history of the Cub Scouts or
Sounds
club,
right.
Whatever they're called.
Boy
Scouts.
Yeah, Jamie, John, I don't know if you're hearing it, but I'm hearing an origin story starting to solidify for the Middle King.
Whoa. Listen, hey, that first off was not my plan. I would have been a lot smarter about it if I was going to cheat, okay?
No, I wasn't saying you were cheating. I'm saying I'm seeing the personality
of a future
Mole King starting to
listen. I just want to say this was not my fault. The world made me into this.
Okay.
This is not my fault.
Of your environment.
I never grew up saying, "Hey, I want to smear peanut butter on a corn cob and attract birds."
You sure?
I don't want to glue abacus. I never asked for those things. Those things were put onto me.
Okay.
And as we do on Camp Wicked Wild, we do have a special guest, sort of a special guest. I mean, he's somebody who's been on several times and somebody we actually have as a guest contributor on our own website. We have Joe Ferry. How's it going, Joe?
Good. How are you guys? Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And he was just telling us he's so legit that he literally came from a scout meeting that he's leading directly to us to record tonight. So I hope you've got a little hair left after spending your day with a bunch of scouts.
I have a nice strong drink in front of me, and that is how I am coping with those kids running around like maniacs.
Just self-medicating. Now you're Cubs, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was a Cub leader too. But as a and this is a question I hadn't really asked you, but we've compared notes in the past about a couple of scout things. But
yeah,
what is your position on the tutelage of consequence? Like, how far will you let the dumb go before you step in, or do you kind of give them the opportunity to learn from their stupidity, as long as it's not a lawsuit situation?
So, like, pretty far. I saw, especially in situations where, like, up until the point somebody's going to get hurt or possibly end up in like a hospital or have to be taken up to the medical building. But if it means that you're going to fail at what you're doing or you're going to eat a lot later because you just ruined everything. No, fail away. That is literally what we are here for, to learn these little tools and tricks for life.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm of the same mind and I don't know if you've gotten there yet, but when you start doing the whittling chip, which is the knife safety stuff, the pocket knife safety stuff, which is really intense with a bunch of friggin' 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds with pocket knives. And you see them waving them around and you're like, look, the consequence isn't going to be, I'm going to allow you to hurt somebody else. I'm just going to kick you out and you're not going to get your whittling chip and not graduate. And having 2 or 3 guys literally not graduate to their next badge because they wouldn't listen, and their parents coming and saying, well, why didn't you do something? I did do something. I told them they weren't listening and I put them out. And then there was one kid at a camp that actually put his knife through his finger, like pierced through his finger, because he just wouldn't listen. I don't know if you've had, I think my biggest checklist was I've had a hook through the eyebrow, a fishing hook through the eyebrow, a peeled back toenail, big toenail.
Ooh.
That was just a hiking dum-dum who decided not to listen to me about his boots. Anyway, and then the knife through the finger. For doing it for 5 years, I didn't think that was too bad.
We avoided a torn knee ligament last camp, but we did end up with one concussion, and but no blood, like no real blood, at least manageable blood.
Right.
And as far as the whittling chip goes, the idea, like the goth side of me, is really fond of the fact that I just get to keep screaming the word blood bubble to people, especially a bunch of little kids, like, mind your blood bubble. And so it's this fear around you that making sure you can't stab or poke anything else. So you stay safe.
Yeah. If it bleeds, it doesn't belong in this bubble.
Exactly. So I took over from a guy that was a lawyer, and he was very nice enough to pass down. I make the kids sign contracts, and we go over each part of the contract for this is what happens when you handle a knife. And if they break that contract, they don't get their knife back and they fail out.
Yep.
And so you remind them of that. And so far, so good.
And tears don't pay the bills. I don't care how sad you are at the end of it.
Oh, no.
I'm really glad that my whole town got disqualified from being scouts. That just sounds like a lot.
That's terrible.
I mean, at one
Signing-
point, it sounded like the way you guys were describing this, like I was listening to Thulsa Dune from Conan talking about his snake people. I was like, what kind of like cult thing you guys are running there?
A little bit of that. So if you haven't figured it out, or if you didn't look at the title of the joke we've made in the past, the movie we reviewed this week is Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. Quirky little flick from a few years back. A few years. I think it's almost a decade at this point.
That's so weird.
It's crazy.
2015, I think.
Yep.
Yes.
But before we get into that, I am going to give Eli his weekly opportunity to pull on the old pressure valve and give us a wicked whisper.
Listen, people, I just can't even. Every week, I'm like, surely to God, I got to run out of something eventually. It can't keep being this way. Well, guess what? Not that week. As you all remember last week, we talked about the alien corpses, or the mummies that were introduced in Mexico. Well, a lot of people didn't believe that. So they brought in third-party validators who they could confirm that it didn't look like they were man-made in the sense of falsified or stitched together.
They weren't Muppets.
They weren't Muppets. This, so much so, the fucking NASA is interested now, and they're sending a convoy to Mexico to look at these sumbitches. And just when everybody's like trying to figure out where they found these fucking things, these people on the internet who are calling themselves, which just made me so goddamn angry, they're calling themselves the Tomb Raiders.
Wow.
The Tomb Raiders started releasing pictures because they had found this place and broke in one night and are showing all the pictures. They're like, there's more than two of them. There's like these drawings of big aliens with crowns and shit. Now, pictures haven't been validated yet, but they look like a batshit version of Indiana Jones, the Crystal Skull. Before, I'd be like, well, that's probably fake. Last week, Mexico brought alien mummies on television, and we can't disprove them yet. So at this point, I don't even know. And then all this is happening, right? The House of Representatives reported in their update on the UFO stuff as they passed another UFO bill to be, to try to get more transparency and people have to report these things. Also stated 60 new whistleblowers have come forward. Not just any whistleblowers, 60 active members of the intelligence community currently active in the field have all submitted whistleblower reports. 60 have came forward. 60 new ones. That's 60, 60, big 60. So all this is happening. Like, you got the U.S. government, like 60 intelligence people are like, yep, oh yeah, I want to talk about this. Mexico's showing alien bodies, and like NASA's like, oh, we want to be a part of that. The Tomb Raiders are releasing pictures. And then I'm thinking, this can't get any more absurd. Well, my five folks, if you remember, that little town in Peru, they released another report of they're hoping to get some help because they are quite clearly now seeing aliens and jetpacks attack them every night still. A whole fucking town. And but the police are like, no, they're people trying to break into the coal mines with jetpacks. Like, the jetpack part's the normal part. And meanwhile, all this is happening. And we're not blaring this out of the media like, people, what's happening? No, what are we talking about? I don't know. That one Kardashian girl got a butt chin. And we're talking about, I don't know, Johnny Depp's in another perfume ad or something. But the aliens, people. The aliens. But that's all I got. What?
Isn't it cologne?
Whatever it is. It doesn't matter. You are part of the problem.
Oh, you're in for, if you're going to start correcting things
You
now,
are part of the problem.
you got a long ways to go, buddy.
I literally screamed about aliens attacking in Peru with jetpacks and alien corpses on Mexican television, and you're asking me about Johnny Depp's cologne? You're part of the problem.
Yeah.
We give Eli his 5, would it become 10, which had become 15, which had become 20 minutes to just rant and let it out. And then
it gets more and more happens every week. It's not slowing down. When Dave asked me to do this, I was like, this is probably gonna last 3 weeks.
I mean,
surely to God, this is not something that's happening every week. But here we are.
Now it's become Eli's ongoing time capsule. This is historical documentation for him at this point.
All I want to say is this: when the inevitable happens, right? Either aliens come here to fuck us up, or the one guy, this government agent who's coming out on TikTok claiming they're spider people trying to take over the earth. Not lizard people anymore. We're on spider people. Whenever one of those inevitably happen, people can be like, "You tried to warn us. We didn't listen."
All I know, Eli, is that your internet algorithm is screwed.
Listen, I always figured growing up with kind of my interests and things I was in, I was like, I'm either going to be on a watch list one day,
yes, or
leading a very odd cult.
Yes.
And apparently I'm on the watch list. Well, I'm trying to start
no,
the
I'm
Kingdom.
leading the cult.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm going on the watch list side.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm definitely watch list. I'm so much so that at work, the team I manage, every time we have a huddle, I'm like, hey, also, by the way, did you guys hear about Bigfoot attacking people in South Carolina?
Oh, you're the one
I reported last week.
You're the one in the office everybody talks about then.
For sure. But you know what though? That lets them know I don't really want friends. So
there you go. That keeps you in the safe space. Yeah. So we are going to jump onto our entertainment section of our journalistic endeavor here and talk about a movie that some of us are fond of. And I have a sneaking suspicion a larger number of people have questions about. Before we do that, we're going to do our on-the-fly synopsis, as we do every week, where one of our hosts is going to have the opportunity, without any actual prior planning, to give us a quick synopsis of the movie. Since we have our guest Joe on, I'm going to have him be the person to ask the question, and then whatever answer he gives me will dictate who has to actually give the synopsis for Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. So, Joe, as a seasoned scout leader, as we've just established, what is, a little free advice to the public here, what is the superior improvised zombie survival weapon? Is it is it the nail spiked bat, the pool ball potato gun, the long handled machete axe, or just a 10-pound splitting maul?
So if we're talking about a scout handling something like a 10-pound maul, I'm going to say no on that one, just because scouts, they're outdoor people, but they're kind of also indoor people. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. It's a nice mixture of the both. They're right in the middle of the Venn diagram of nerds and outdoorsy folk.
Do you want to give them a potato gun too? Then that's what I'm hearing. You probably don't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a little range and a little melee. So right before the maul, there was something about a machete,
a long-handled machete axe.
I'm gonna go long-handled machete axe. Ooh. Keep everything at a distance and be able to penetrate what you need.
Yeah. All right.
That's what she said.
Jaime,
Hey,
you are our long-handled machete axe. So
wait. Oh, I am? Is that
Yeah.
what he said? Wait, Eli, what were you saying?
I said I've never been more proud of you in my life.
I know. Well, first of all, I say it a lot, but like in my own personal, but you take it here that I jumped ahead. I cut you right off.
I was so proud. I want to put your face on a t-shirt and wear it.
Wait, what am I doing? Synopsizing this
Yeah.
movie? Okay. I always forget that we do this. I know that's the point, but like, there's really not much to synopsize. This movie is about three, I think they're supposed to be high school students, guys who are still in Boy Scouts in high school. Basically they're going on their like one of theirs like major camping trip, right? To celebrate, like he's, I guess, become the epitome of scout. I have no idea. I wasn't really like paying attention. And so the other two kind of want to quit and they're going to like maybe break it to him. But anyway, they go on this camping trip while the rest of the high school goes to some super cool party that they're not invited to. And everybody in the meantime turns to zombies. So now you have three Boy Scouts who meet up with a cocktail waitress stripper. And the four of them just need to fight off this zombie apocalypse, if you will.
use their survival skill set, right?
Yeah. And
The-
not even, yeah.
The ongoing fantasy, the sheepdog fantasy in action in a movie is pretty much what this is. So thank you, Jaime. I'm going to let our host or our guest host, Joe, kick us off. Have you seen this before? What do you think of this movie?
I've never seen this before. I'd heard it thrown around back when it first came out. I didn't realize until afterwards it was done by Christopher Landon,
Same.
who, right?
Yeah. When I got
Well,
to
and
the
it-
credits, I was like, oh shit. But
Yeah. And it feels like good, like road work. Like it paved the way for him to do Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day 2 and Freaky. Like I believe it's also his first feature, but I may be wrong on that. So feel free to check me.
His first feature was Paranormal Activity, the marked ones.
Okay. Yeah.
He
Another
did that
movie I haven't
movie,
watched
the-
or won't watch.
Hey, can I give you a word of advice? Don't watch it.
Okay.
It's
Cool.
of all those shitty movies, it may be the shittiest.
I've never seen a Paranormal Activity movie, so I'm not
Oh,
going to
wow.
start
The
that.
first one's the only good one.
I don't.
the
wanna
third
watch,
one's
like,
not bad
security
either.
cams of people. That is-
It's guy, it's like Blair Witch. Hello.
oh,
One of the
God.
greatest movies ever made.
All right. Anyway, back. Come on. Nope.
so.
Jamie's cutting it off.
So, Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. I was torn. The movie is okay if I'm just going to go right to my end point of view, but it got me thinking. One, what is a Scout movie? Two, what's a good zombie movie? And I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole in actual Scout movies, and I know enough about zombie movies. The issue with this one is it isn't a good version of either. And so you kind of get this weaving in between the two. There are some funny moments, some really solid jokes wrapped up with more not so solid jokes. I will say, naming a strip club Lawrence of Arabia is fucking genius. By the end of it, unfortunately, I was rooting for the zombies, and that is kind of the movie it ended up being for me.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, Eli, what's up?
You know,
man? See
this is
theater?
the second time I watched this. I watched it when it first came out.
Mhm. I thought
and
you were
I-
the other person that had seen it before.
Yeah, and I remember liking it the first time I watched it. But then on the second rewatch, it made me realize something. I think I suffer from what I'm calling accelerated reverse Benjamin Button disease. So instead of aging backwards, I'm aging forward rapidly,
So you're just aging.
but rapidly. No, you know what? This time around, I kept thinking this movie, I think you could tell, like it felt like I was watching Breaking Bad meets, or not Breaking Bad, Super Bad meets Shaun of the Dead. And every time I think that, I go, I would rather be watching one of those movies than watching this. And I don't know, maybe because I was younger, or what, but like, what, like this, them being scouts didn't matter, even though that's the title of the movie. Because like the fact that they were wearing scout uniforms, they were kind of camping in the beginning, and then like they kind of made weapons. It was irrelevant, really. Like they didn't really do scout shit. Like the zombies were fine. Some of the jokes, like the hardest I laughed was seeing that the strip club's name because I'd forgotten about that. And like I laughed at the color parts, but like it was like really whatever. Like and at the middle of this movie to me felt like an eternity. So I don't know if I'm just becoming an old man or like and I'm growing out of stuff or like, but I just the whole time I was watching this, I was like, I would rather be watching Shaun of the Dead. Or because like it felt like the zombie humor was not nearly as good, but like that's what they're kind of trying to do. And then like their relationship felt like they were trying to be like super bad, but like not a very good version of either. It was like someone told somebody jokes about Superbad and Shaun of the Dead. They're like, oh, I'm going to put that in a movie, but I've never seen it. And then you get this like weird, like Aldi's version. You get an Aldi's version of those two movies is the way I'll describe it. And then like by the time I got the ending, I was like the ending was kind of dumb. Like nothing mattered in this movie. Like there was no like I get like it's kind of comedy, whatever, but like there's really like in Shaun of the Dead, even which is a comedy, there were stakes, you know, super bad comedy, but there were stakes. And this, it's like we have stakes, but they don't really matter. And the only other thing this movie did was make me sad and miss the old lady who was in all the Adam Sandler movies.
Cloris Leachman.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So it made me sad because I wasn't watching the movies I really wanted to watch. And it made me sad because of Doris Leachman. I miss her.
All right, Jaime. First watch, I'm assuming?
Yeah, this is a first watch. For no real reason other than just even by title alone, it never really interests me. We've all been through this horror comedy, really hard to pull off. In fact, this movie reminded me so much. I mean, Eli made really good points because I did think Shaun of the Dead when I was thinking zombie comedy while I was watching it, but not even close, you know, and I did think super bad because it's teenagers, you have to. But anyway, it also like even shots, and now I don't know the year, so I'm not comparing and I don't really care, but it reminded me so much of a movie we're discussing in like 2 weeks, which from what I remember is way better than this movie. And I'll say it, we have our list, but it's Deathgasm. It's so similar, but Deathgasm is done so much better. It's not zombies. I think those are demons. We'll get there. We're going to discuss that. But as I'm watching this, like even shots in the house, I was like, oh my God, this feels just like that movie. But it's not. Everybody touched on all the things. The movie is fine. There are a couple of moments that are funny and work, but overall, it's not that funny. It's immature, which I think, Eli, is why you think you used to like it. And like,
maybe. Yeah.
It's slapsticky, but not in the right ways. And it's like immature jokes for maybe a 13-year-old when they like some of them. So it's not offensive. It's just not like, it's not smart or witty. It's just kind of like dumb. I don't know why, but I love the kid from Escape Room, and he was like Carter in this, I think.
Yeah.
So I just like him. So I think honestly, I was just watching for like, but he's not like likable. Like he's fine, but again, you don't get attached to anybody in this movie. You don't care about anybody in this movie. There's no motivation. That love plot is the thinnest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life, and so dumb as a motivation. So like this movie is done way better in other movies, like Eli said. And I had written down, Eli, why the hell are they scouts? Because it does not matter.
You know, Jimmy, what's going on? You and I are like
today, like it's.
Ooh.
But I literally had that written down because I'm not sure why we need to even make it the Scouts' Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, because most of the Scout storyline was about them wanting to quit, but then loving it and loving each other. But it wasn't like they made crazy cool things or used their scouting techniques or anything to survive this apocalypse, really, besides the weapons.
There's some solid knot tying.
Yeah, there's a knot tying or two. Yeah, there is. But I don't know. It wasn't enough of a character. Like them being scouts wasn't enough of a thing in this movie for it to be in the title. Right. That's it. I mean, I went, you know, Joe said it, like I was shocked when I saw it was Christopher Landon, not because like, I'm not saying like, oh, this was terrible. I just like did not know he did this. Like, I don't know. Right. I thought like, and I don't even know if he did the first one. I love both Happy Death Days. I don't even apologize. I love them. And I find it hard that like he did those in this, because I think those are smarter. I think those are wittier. I think those are just better movies than.
I would
we're
also
going to talk about that for sure.
Like to point out, because I forgot about this fella doing this until you guys said it. He has done some okay movies, but he has also done what I call Paranormal Activity swinging on Mish, the Amish Paranormal Activity.
Oh yeah, you hate that one.
So I hate it.
Yeah,
That's
I
who
know.
this
We
guy
all
is.
know. We know.
That's who this guy is.
I'm sorry, but it's before he got to like Happy Death Day.
Exactly.
No,
Then he found his
he
niche.
wrote that after Happy Death Day. Happy Death Day to you and Freaky.
Really? All right, well,
Yeah.
whatever. Okay, doesn't matter. But
Doesn't
anyway,
that make you sad?
a little bit, yes.
All right, John, you're up.
I
assume
feel
you
like
haven't
this.
seen it before either.
I had not seen this movie before. My expectations were below zero for this because I remember seeing the trailer for this when it was coming out, and I'm like, yeah, not watching that. That looks so dumb. I'm not going to watch it. And I never did. Forgot it existed until I saw it on the list. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I kind of remember that. And I was like, well, I guess this is one I'm going to have to suffer through. And movies for me are expectations game. When I have such low expectations for a movie and I even have a modestly good time, I was like, all right, like this was not a wasted hour and a half. However, and what everybody said is exactly right. I mean, if you this movie is literally, if you have people over playing beer pong at a Halloween party, throw this on. You'll get a couple chuckles and a laugh. Throw it on rotation with Shaun and the Dead. It's just good background watch. It's fine. You're not gonna. It is literally super bad with zombies. That's exactly what way I felt after it. However, I didn't hate it. It was. I was kind of doing a few like things, cooking in the kitchen while this was on. And the few times I laughed, David Koechner had a few oddball funny parts.
With his hair. Can we?
Yes.
We'll discuss that.
that was probably one of my favorite parts is how he picked up the hair after he just got done stabbing somebody with a pocket knife. There's some good moments in the crazy deer fight. That was awesome. It's again, there was the wiener scene. Obviously, I'm gonna let Dave tee that one up.
Yeah.
That one's, I mean, that was a good one. I was not expecting that. It's been nice having not seen these and then getting to go, all right, where's the wiener for me? It's like, where's Waldo? And this one was a good one. The Piranha 3D was a good one. So, but yeah, I mean, let's put it this way. You could watch way worse movies and have a far worse time.
Mm-hmm.
However, I will not say you gotta see this.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we've used this term before. It's a great beer and friends background movie.
100%.
You're half watching, you're waiting for your favorite gags. Otherwise, you're playing cards, you're drinking, all that stuff. So. Anything else, John?
The only thing I didn't realize, I didn't know the name of the guy who did Freaky until you guys started talking about Freaky's way better. I would say if you're going to watch one of his movies, watch Freaky. I haven't seen
Happy Death Day.
I have not seen either of those. So those are on my list.
John, you have to see them. We'll have to do a movie watch. Like I don't know. I like them a lot.
Yeah, they're good.
I've been watching and waiting for them to come on some sort of streaming service without ads. I haven't seen them in a while.
HBO Max, my guy.
Yeah, they were
got
just
them
on.
Now?
They were on either
Okay.
AMC or something
They're on
yesterday.
they're on
too.
HBO
They're on-
Max.
Okay, yeah,
Right,
they're
right
on
now.
something.
I'm saying, all right. I'm
Cool.
looking forward to it. All right, Dave, hit him.
So this is a movie that I personally put on the Camp Wicked Wild, and not just for the Year of the Wiener stuff. It did first come to mind because of that gag, because that is a gag that sticks with you because it's juvenile, but it is it's just funny. This movie was, for me, it was a theater watch. I just like you just said, John, I had super low expectations. I think this was a matinee on a Sunday when I didn't have anything else going on. It came out October 30th, but I think I saw it a couple of weeks after Halloween and was trying to stretch out my Halloween vibe. So I wanted to go see this zombie movie. I was only in Scouts for a year when I was a kid, but I was literally a Scout leader when this came out. So I also wanted that angle to kind of to play with, but and I agree 100% with everything everybody has said. This movie is not defensible. There is no angle of defense against this movie. You either like it or you don't. I don't think either way anybody's going to have a strong opinion about this. I think at this point, Landon probably doesn't even have a strong opinion about this. But Joe, you said something that I literally had in my note that this feels like Christopher Landon's like horror teething ring. Like this is the project that he kind of cleared out the pipes. He was working through horror timing, comedy timing. He has so many homages and referential gags in this from other horror movies. He's trying to figure all that out. You can tell that he really doesn't have his voice kind of dialed in yet. His voice as a director and a writer, because he's written several things and he's directed a few things. But you can kind of see the evolution of, there's the Paranormal Activity stuff, which I think is just something completely separate, but you can see he enjoys this horror comedy angle. And you can see literally from this to Happy Death Day to You, and then to Freaky, how he dials in kind of his personality and his voice. This is extremely juvenile. It's like over the top. And I couldn't believe it when I was looking through the credits. I made a lot of assumptions about the writing staff on this, but it was an all-female writing team except for Landon, who did a final pass on it, because it does read like a teen boy.
Yep.
Kind
Yes,
of,
it does.
gag setup. I do enjoy the fact that it has probably one of my favorite zombie opening scenes in any movie. I mean, literally anytime I could see Blake Anderson, it just puts a smile on my face, because that guy just, for whatever reason, his personality, it hits me just right. And to see him doing a cover of Rihanna or whatever it is in the front of this, it just made me laugh, and it kind of did set the vocabulary of expectations for me for a movie like this. It is low stakes. It is, don't think too much about it. But I had a really good time with it. But that's sort of my overall thoughts. It's the reason I put it on here, because I wanted to have this conversation, because last week we talked about Piranha 3D, which is also a horror comedy, but it's a whole different kind of vocabulary. It's a whole different kind of style set to a movie like this. And the only thing I'll say, and this isn't me trying to defend the movie, but I think it's kind of hard in 2023 to remember that in 2015, this was at the height of zombie fatigue. Like, everybody was friggin' sick of zombie movies and zombie shows and all the zombie references that were going out. Shaun of the Dead had already come out. The Walking Dead was winding down. We were kind of all sick of it. And you almost get a sense, at least in my opinion, when I'm looking at this, that Landon was doing a commentary on what the hell else can we do with zombies at this point. It's kind of a commentary on the horror community as a whole, saying, okay, this is what's left. This is the bottom of the barrel. And he's trying to put something together, and he's got good gags. He has terrible gag timing.
I would disagree with you on one thing, not to correct you, but this would be at the height of Walking Dead. You're only in like season 3 of Walking Dead at this point. So I think he was capitalizing on the zombie thing. I know you said it was winding down, but we were actually at the beginning of, not to correct you, but you're actually at the beginning of Walking. Yeah, I'm going to correct you. You're actually like the height Walking Dead, because Walking Dead just ended this year. So you'd be at like season, I think 2 or 3, 15.
Well, Walking Dead came out in 2010, and it had been a comic for 10 years before that.
Yeah, but they started on split seasons. Well, correct. Yeah, correct the comic. But like show wise, you're at this point, you're around right after the prison and stuff. So like this was kind of like, or not the prison, Terminus, which is like the highest rated season of that show.
We really care where we were in Walking.
No,
but
it's important, Jaime.
But my point is that I do think that people were fatigued with the zombie stuff at this point. I think we had seen a lot of different angles. I mean,
some of us who used to love zombies. Some of us hit that point by 2015, I think. Yeah.
So, but that's my overall thoughts on it. I did want us to have a conversation, because I do think it's a fun one to talk about, because I've enjoyed, from Cocaine Bear to Piranha to Tremors to all the different ways that we've kind of angled this horror comedy thing. And I think you're absolutely right, Eli. I think it was Eli when you said this, that horror comedy is hard. I mean, horror comedy is a nuanced thing, and it's not for everybody. And what's going to hit for me is not going to hit for other people. So it is sort of you kind of have a character on how all that stuff works as well. This is different from last week's, but I do think at the same time that it's a guy trying a bunch of stuff who, in his later work, I really respect that he did dial it in, that he got the opportunity. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about that I think is interesting to what you said, Jaime, is I think this would have been a better movie if it had been a low budget independent movie instead of a big
Like
studio
Deathgasm?
production. Yeah.
I which I think it is. But anyway, what's funny is I just looked at we're gonna talk about that movie separately, but that movie was also 2015. So it's just really weird because like we're gonna compare them basically side by side at some point. And I'm misremembering and I liked it more than I did. I can't wait to rewatch it in 2 weeks. But like it's interesting that they were the same. I didn't know this went to theaters. I did not know this was I honestly thought this was a streaming movie. Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. Then that's how it reads to me, as like it went to Netflix or
No,
whatever.
it had a big campaign and everything.
I had no idea. Like the most I heard about it was just by name on streaming services and never really even clicked.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, I went and saw this in theaters because I had I wasn't a field director anymore, and I was seeing movies, like even movies I didn't really want to see, but I didn't go to theaters that often, so I was like, let's go on every weekend.
Just going.
That's when I caught this.
I did. Yeah, I did not know.
Well, and I will say, and it's something I want to talk about a little later, or we can talk about it now if everybody's kind of said their piece about their overall thoughts. But in the marketing, they really punch up the A-Team style improvisation of the scouts, all the weapons that they make and how they take on, which ends up being like 15 minutes of this movie.
Not even, probably. Yeah.
And
yeah.
They just made like one weapon each.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly like this movie being so fine. I have like, we know me. I have like 3 notes in there, a struggle. They were even a struggle to write those things. Besides my overall thoughts, which always take up like the first page of my notes. But like, there's nothing, I don't know. There's not a lot to this. It's just like we all said, it's just juvenile comedy with zombie with some good kills in there here and there. Like, you know, I'm not gonna diss that, but like even the storyline about them quitting on their friend and like abandoning him like had no weight to it whatsoever. I was just like, I wasn't happy they reunited. I couldn't give 2 shits that they reunited with this guy or that they were still in scouts in high school, which as someone who did that, it fucking blows and nobody wants to be in scouts in high school.
The ongoing gag that I really enjoyed was your favorite character, Jaime's
I love
always
him.
in the background. After something has happened, he's always in the background taking a selfie with it.
Yeah, I love
I
him.
loved all the deer roadkill that he's back in the background while taking his selfie.
Well, because that is like, well, we said a decade ago, but you are going back to height of like, I mean, I guess it's after MySpace, but it's the height of like taking your selfies and documenting everything. I mean, people still are, but I mean, it's before TikTok and shit like that. It's literally just the selfie. It's like the MySpace and the.
I will say this. I like this better because I didn't like Piranha. I don't like.
That's not
it's shocking, right?
Did you ever see Piranha? I'm not sure.
I did.
Boom, roasted.
I like this. Like this is not offensible. I like it better. And I think one thing is they do. You can tell he tries to, I don't know if smart's the right word, but a kind of smarter almost or like better developed comedy than like even like with the slapstickiness, there was still like that stuff like the name of that strip club, like that, and it being in the background, it wasn't your face. It was like that kind of behind the like right under the surface, kind of if you caught it, you could watch it, catch it. Like the selfie thing I caught the one time and I chuckled. Even when the old lady, like they took her teeth out and put another zombie so it wouldn't bite, and then she's gumming his ass. Like, oh yeah, like stuff like that. Like there was stuff I was like, oh okay, like it wasn't offensive. There was really only one offensible thing I found in this movie that I took great offense to. Why did the first fucking 10 songs come directly from Apple, iPhone, and iPod commercials?
Did they?
Yes, the first 10
public domain or something.
Yeah. The first, I think it was the first however many songs up until the point where they're playing was it Scorpion? or yeah, I guess that happened first. Every song was either in an iPod, a Mac, or an iPhone commercial. And I had forgotten about that stupid fucking electric bottle song. And it's like the opening song of this movie.
I don't know.
Not the opening song, it's the second song in this movie. The opening song is Black Widow. It's like, baby, you're like lightning in a bottle. That was on every fucking Mac commercial. And like when they played in this movie, I wanted to beat my head off a door because I'd forgotten about it. And now it's all playing in the background. Huh?
That was the Secret Crush song, wasn't
Yeah,
it? Like
right, yeah,
When we
yeah.
meet the crush. Yeah.
Yep. And so like it's all that's been playing in my head all day. Because
didn't
after I
even pay
watched it, and
attention
I
to it.
hate. Well, listen, I was like, oh, Black Widow. I was like, all right, like that was an Apple commercial. Because no one remembers fucking Iggy Azalea. And then the second song played, I was like, that was on an Apple commercial too. Third song, reason I know this because I worked a job where we work closely with Apple. Third song, I was like, all right. Fourth song, fucking that Crush song, Electric Crush, whatever it's called. And like anger, like my skin split. The devil came for it, and then it kept going until I think they sang Britney, and then they did
God, the Britney.
was
I
it
can't.
Scorpion or whatever they played there when he was like getting stuck or Rock You Like a Hurricane. You know, until he got to that, it was all I was like, what is this? Is he fucking? It's wait for them to start pulling out iPhones and be like, hey, my iPhone.
Did you have to
We-
watch these commercials for work? Like, why are you
They
memorizing
played
the
constantly in the background.
I was gonna say, as someone who does work with commercials, I don't even like.
When
couldn't tell you.
I worked for a cellular company, I'll say that, and I worked in like a liaison position, and they would for the
That's
longest.
dangerous.
It is dangerous. For the longest time, all they would do would be play product commercials in the background. Then it got to the point where they realized only one product anybody actually gives a shit about. So they're just like, we're just going to play all those commercials over and over and over and over again.
I want
Eli lost something that year.
You've lost a lot of things over years.
I did.
I want to mention how silly I felt like it looked every time the four of them were together. Like this woman, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to, but she towered over them. Looked much older than it was kind of like it felt like a mom leading her children places, except then she makes out with one of them. And I was just like, this is like a little weird.
Yeah.
And I assume they talk about she's like a legend in high school for like dropping out and going to the strip club, whatever. But like I assume they crossed paths with her. So she could only be like 2 years older than them.
But she said she dropped out the year before. That's one of the lines. So she's only been dropped out a year.
They even say like, she was in high school. She dropped out, went to work for the strip club, whatever. So like, but she looks like and I know women mature faster than God, but she looks like she's 10 years older than them though. And I'm just like, okay. It was just weird. Every time she's running around the house with them, she's like 2 feet taller than them. And like, I just like, I don't know. I found it hilarious.
Well, even did you notice that the scene where she gets on the motorcycle to ride away, it looked like a clown motorcycle? Like she looked bigger than the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but like, I like it was almost like that. Like you see, like or like the bears, like they'll put the bears on motorcycles and circus. Like that's what it looked like. And I swear to God, like every frame they cut back to, that motorcycle got smaller and smaller.
Well,
anyway,
and both of you have made a couple points I want to circle back on. First, to the two scenes actually all three of them, the two scenes, Eli, that you referenced with the strip club and then the Britney gag. And then Jaime, when you talked about the big trope of show me how you kiss, the older unattainable girl saying, show me how you kiss. That's been done in movies for tens of years and done better. But I really do think the biggest problem with all three of those scenes, and really the problem overall with the movie, is they are not timed at all. They're under edited. Like I think all three of those would hit so much better if a good editor came in and cut them down, like deeply cut them down. Like the Britney gag should last like 15 seconds.
Yeah, that went way too long. Like they literally sang half a song or something.
And the same with the strip club. The stripper coming in, that whole like setup, that whole scene should be a 30-second romp. Like there should be a stripper. Oh crap, she's a zombie. Here comes the bouncer. Bam, you're into the melee kind of stuff. And then if you want to do the bottle in the forehead and pouring blood, that's all fine. But they just take way too long. They're fat. All of those gags are fat, which really kills. When you're doing comedy, especially horror comedy, where you're trying to do both of doing gore and something funny, the timing is everything. And that's what I think Landon didn't have at this time.
Yeah. And I'm going to throw in there, I know you guys are going to, it defeats the purpose of everything. I thought the wiener gag was too long too. Like it was funny, but it went on way too long. Like it's funny, like yell about him grabbing they were just yelling out the wiener. Like it was funny. And then it just kept going.
Right.
And I was just like, okay. Now you're making me find
We
it not
get it.
funny. And I love wiener gags. Like now you're making me not want this anymore.
That's what she said.
It also breaks the rules that they start to establish in the beginning of the movie. Like, I think when it's a comedy, and so you have your comedic rules, but when you have your zombie movie, you have to have a certain subset of rules. And so, according to the first zombie whose chest bursts open in an amazing Thing reference, apparently these motherfuckers are brittle as hell, except for the old dude's wiener, which allows the Boy Scout to hang off of it like he's fucking Sylvester Stallone in goddamn Cliffhanger, rappelling down a goddamn mountain. Like, I just don't like.
Yeah,
where's the line there?
There's no consistency. Yeah.
Doris, they like that middle dragged on so long, but they beat the shit out of her in one house. They go to another house, beat the shit out of her, and then she still rides down the road on her rascal or whatever the hell those like electric wheelchair things are.
Look, something you all need to know about me, and I think you probably assume this already, is if you make a movie with a zombie Cloris Leachman gumming the ass of a scout, I'm in.
That's a win, yeah.
But I told you I enjoyed that, but like but to your point, like a lot of these zombies are killing, and like they beat the fuck out of her, and she just kept showing up, and like that whole scene there in the middle, I couldn't even really enjoy it because I was like, oh my god, like in a short amount of time, we're like driving to point A, driving to point B, going to this house, driving to this point. She's getting on a motorcycle. She's driving over here. And I'm just like, we could literally cut out, like they could have done all this in one fucking house. Instead of us going all over the neighborhood before we went to another place, before we went down the road so that they could finally go to the old rec center.
Yeah.
So like a lot of those jokes, even like the weird stuff at that point, I'm just like, okay, come on. Like I felt like at that point I'd been watching for 2 hours. And I looked, I was like, this is only an hour and a half movie. Holy shit.
Well, and then there are glimpses, like when Augie and the zombie cat's on his back, there are glimpses of some really neat timing. Like that gag is right.
Yeah.
That's a funny gag because it doesn't go on. Then you've got the remake of the Reanimator scene.
Yeah.
Which is just a sloppy mess. It just has no timing whatsoever. So it's neither funny nor gross. It's just kind of uncomfortable.
Right.
The herky-jerky camera work when they're trying to over-accentuate the action does not help.
Right.
No.
Yeah, once they have their weapons and they're surrounded by zombies, I want to see everything.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Yeah, and I started this, so I don't know how you guys. I watched it on I don't know, Tubi. One of the free ones, one of the free TV channel, Pluto. Maybe it is Pluto. Okay, so now turns out I don't know what it is about my TV, which is not that old, or at least doesn't feel that old. But a lot of the streaming apps, if I do them through my smart TV, like stay blurry for a long time. This movie, blurry, I almost lost my shit. Like I literally had to go to the computer because to your point, like especially with the way they're moving the camera, the dark, a lot of dark. It first got to me in the strip club. I could not see, like he literally said, look at her chest. And I go, what the fuck's wrong with her chest? Like I couldn't see anything until she literally ripped her neck apart or whatever. And like blood came shoot out. So then I was like, I can't fucking do this. So I tried and I didn't want to really watch it on my, like in here on my computer or whatever. But so like I tried Chromecasting it instead. And that actually was better. I don't know. But like those like, I feel like I have it a lot with those, like the Pluto TV and whatever, like streaming them from my like TV, like they're so blurry that like I was losing half the shit. I had to go backwards on a movie that I didn't even care about that much anyway, but I had to go backwards and watch this all over again because I could not see it in the I would have never made it through that. Yeah, I would have never made it through that weapon scene, like the end scene, because I wouldn't have been able to see anything that was going on with the way they were moving, or even the house scene, like you guys were talking about. Like I would have had no clue what was going on.
Right.
Is there such a big age gap between you and your TV? You want to put a little neckerchief on it and maybe bring it to the bedroom and make out?
Wait, what?
So it's just an age reference again to the weird makeout scene in this movie.
Yeah.
That scene,
it does nothing. And there are a lot of those in here. It's just kind of messy. But again, to the point I was making earlier, I am excited about a director wanting to try horror comedy. It's not easy. They go in knowing it's not easy. I mean, Edgar Wright did it and he did it well, but he already had a fantastic crew and set of actors to make those movies with. And he was a quick wit guy, a dry wit guy. And I think dry wit works a lot better in horror comedy
Yeah.
than this kind of
Absolutely.
Western wit kind of stuff does.
Mhm.
But
he cut his bones in comedy itself. Like he was a comedic director before he was anything else.
anything else. Yeah.
I mean, Shaun of the Dead is, and we've talked about this here, to me, that's the epitome of a lot of movies. It's my favorite zombie movie. It's my possibly my favorite horror comedy. I mean, there have been some that came along and, you know, whatever, but I think Shaun of the Dead is a high bar for a lot of these things.
Yeah.
So like, I think it does all those genres well.
Yeah, if you
But-
make a zombie comedy, you're going to get compared to Shaun of the
To
Dead.
Shaun of the Dead, it's just inevitable, and it's unfortunate for
And they're
other
totally
movies
different
because
movies, but it
it's-
doesn't matter.
Yeah, it
That's what
doesn't.
you
It
gotta
doesn't
do.
matter.
So
But this also, I think everybody brought up really good movies to compare it to. Like I still feel Deathgasm, but it's not wrong that it's super bad. It's Zombieland. I mean, that was literally on the other day, and I like started it because I haven't seen it in so long, and I was just like, you know, it was maybe even right before I watched this or something. So they were right after they were on, like, and I was just like,
did y'all
it's
see the
all
movie
these
Cooties?
movies.
Yeah.
Cooties.
Yeah. I can see that.
Kind of a Cooties thing going
Yep.
too. So
Well, like in my
which
mind,
is a
like
low budget indie version of this movie, pretty much. Is
Right.
what
well, like in my mind too, there's a lot of like things that I feel like they took directly from Superbad. Like instead of like him not wanting to go to the same college, like they don't want to be a scout with him anymore, and like all this stuff. And like one of the things about that was that I mean, even like these characters like all had these like certain personality quirks that a lot of like the potty humor jokes were kind of elevated and worked better because of that character's reaction to it. We're like really until like except for a couple scenes, like Augie was a plank.
Oh,
so,
they
like,
all are. Yeah,
well,
they all
right,
are.
like,
Yeah,
the
they're
main
all
character,
planks. These
like,
guys are, yeah.
except for what's his name? I can't think of his real name. That
Carter, the guy. I like.
yeah, Carter. Yeah, whatever. I can't think of the actor's name.
I can't
Logan
think of
Miller.
his name either. But
Like he was kind of like that guy throughout the whole movie, and like I felt like a lot of the gags worked because like he was always a character. Where like the other two were like a character for some of the scenes, like that Augie, like that whole scene of him in the counselor's house, which once again went way too long. That even that chase scene just went
Oh
a
my God,
godly long
so
amount of
long.
time, and like a lot of the gags didn't work. Where like they could have worked if he had a personality, or if like maybe if it wasn't 10 years long that were running. So so it's like weird because like I like in my mind he took a lot from it, but he didn't follow the rules from it. And like you're already making this movie 10 times longer than it probably needs to be. So like why not take the time and just make sure each character, like you don't have to delve into it, but just have each of them have a personality, because it's not going to hurt.
yeah, they didn't
It's only
have
going to
one.
help. Right.
And then I'm supposed to care about them ditching him. I don't give two
Right.
shits. I don't know anything about this guy. Or I'm supposed to care about them coming back together and saying they love scouts. Or like, what? I don't give two fucks. Or I'm supposed to care about him grabbing this girl and making out with her, who I've seen no relationship between these two the whole movie. No indication that she's madly in love with him.
And
And,
she
like-
not an hour before, even though her boyfriend was a douche, she watched get eaten.
Him get
And she had no reaction. She's just like, oh, fuck him. Gotta go climb up this ladder.
So I'll say something to kind of defend what I think the character archetypes are, because I think the writers were trying to tackle what essentially felt like a gradient of scout types of kids that would still be in scouts at that age. There's definitely the kid that is like, scouts is their world, they're invested, and that's clearly Augie at this point.
Yeah, that's his identity.
Exactly. Ben, who plays essentially the middle character, and you can see it even in their uniforms. Augie is very crisp with his uniform. Everything is exactly where it needs to be. Ben, who is the middle friend but main character, he's still wearing what he needs to, but everything's a little bit looser. And then you get to Carter. Who wants to leave, backwards Misfits hat, unbuttoned shirt, no neckerchief. And so you're allowed to see this gradient of kids that are invested to completely uninvested. And I appreciated that because that felt true to personalities that I knew as a boy, like as a boy that was in scouts, as somebody that was in scouts when I was younger.
Well, and to the point you made, I think it's something that, because these aren't fleshed out characters, we don't get to feel that. But these kinds of scouts that are still in high school, they are outsiders. Like they don't fit in. They're not getting invited to the parties and stuff, which could have an opportunity to me a really interesting story. A horror comedy zombie flick is not the place to do that. So it just kind of feels like hung on. But yeah, these characters, they could play a much more interesting role, like Sean and his buddy, who are the misfits because they're middle-aged men who never grew up, like they're boy men.
Well,
Men
like
child.
even to like I could see that, and I get that, but like I feel that then they should have, because in my mind that's not a personality, that's an extension of your personality, right? So like make Augie like anal about everything, to show that, to accentuate that, so that way it works. Besides him just like, you know what I mean, like it wasn't most of the time it was just he wore a full Scouts uniform, but like, and he said he liked Scouts, but like other than that it was just like nothing. Like he was a plank. Like, or make him like kind of like anal about everything, and like everything has to be crisp and clean and whatever. Like, and then, you know, like make the what's his name always torn in the middle, which like he just kind of did whatever Carter told him to do. Like Carter was probably the only one that I would say accentuated that and like showed that throughout the whole movie, start to finish. The other two just didn't. And like so like it kind of, it's hard when like, yeah, like I can see the uniform thing, I totally agree, but like at some point it wasn't a personality, it's more just like
It's a
that's how we're
visual
dressed.
cue.
Yeah,
Right. But like but that's not going to really work with the jokes, which I think is why a lot of like the humor fell flat as compared to like Superbad. You had these three distinct kind of personality types, and then a lot of times when you got in these like potty humor things, it kind of elevated them, and like the build up and stuff made it funnier because of how their personalities clash with what was going on. Whereas in this case, especially with like Augie and Carter, in my mind, maybe 50% of the jokes around them actually landed, because it's otherwise it's like a plank of wood and you're doing like hanging off a dick for 10 years.
Yeah, when the movie is called Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse and it starts how it does, I have two things to say. One, I think it's a missed opportunity to not have Koechner longer. And like, I don't know what the deal is there, but just turning him into a zombie, it's not like the Bill Murray thing in Zombieland. It's just kind of like a waste. Like he was barely in it, where like when it started, he was also super into Scout. Like I could have done more with this leader too, with this apocalypse. Even if he does ultimately turn into one, he should have been with them a little longer. I feel like there should have been more maybe at this camping event. Like it should have been more maybe of them camping, Scout stuff, Koechner, and like a lot more there. And then with that, to Eli's point with like Augie, like he's super into Scouts. Like I expected, and maybe I wasn't paying attention. You guys can tell me, like it's fair, but like I got a lot going on. But like I felt like at least maybe I would get facts, like scouting facts or rules or things.
Quoting the Scout manual.
Yes,
like,
yes. I thought Augie would be like listing off things, kind of like Zombieland with the rules, but not so then you would have your three. You have Carter, who doesn't give a fuck and just wants to like whatever. And then you have Ben in the middle and whatever. And you had Augie. And there were moments like, oh, they do the knots and
he had the gun badge and the explosive badge.
And they're tying the condoms and things like that. But I don't know, like if you had Augie, like you said, so anal about Scouts and rules, and then you have like these three different, like maybe that also, and then that fits into why we're Scouts Guide to the Zombie. Like I'm literally waiting for a Zombieland approach to this. I was like, okay, you're gonna list me off some scouting things.
Rules,
like, you're gonna give me the rules of Boy Scouts or Eagle Scouts or whatever Scouts they are.
And that's where the movie failed as a Scout movie.
Yeah. What? Where was that?
Yeah. They had the one camping montage, which didn't land at all for me.
No.
They're digging the latrine and setting up the tents, which it didn't add anything. It didn't tell me about anything I didn't already know about each of these characters. And then the only other scene is the one we're all kind of sold on from the marketing, which is when they go into the Ace Hardware and they start building their weapons. That lasts 30 seconds and their weapons are just the dumbest things ever.
Yes, they don't feel like Scout. Like it's not like they use their knowledge. Like I'm not saying but I can go. Eli and I can go into Ace Hardware and start building this shit randomly because that's what they did. They made fun things, but they weren't like using their Scout knowledge to make these things. They just made fun weapons.
And to your point about the camping trip, we spend after the initial like setup of the movie, we spend 5 minutes in a classroom where the whole thing is about how that night is supposed to be this grand ceremony. Augie's supposed to become like super Jedi scout,
Eagle
and like
Scout.
it's
It
this
says
big
Eagle
Condor
Scout.
Scout.
right, but like it's supposed
Condor Scout.
Condor Scout. It's supposed to be like this big deal. And so like then you go out there and like there's a montage of them digging a shithole, setting up tents, someone getting hit in the head with a marshmallow.
Honestly, I thought you would relate to the digging a shithole part, but
well, first off,
No, he related to Augie
dare you.
at the leader's
yeah.
bathroom that he read.
yeah, that I relate more to that. But like, and like they're like, well, where is he? Everybody's like, I don't know. But like, this is supposed to be the end all be all, and like, no one gives a shit. No one wants to look at him. No one cares. And like they're like, it's supposed to be like the greatest achievement of Augie's life. So like, it didn't even like the first 5 minutes. Like the movie didn't even give a fuck about the scout stuff.
No,
so like,
it's
no one
very
else did.
weird. I like honestly, we should have. I know I just said, but like we should have gotten at least whatever length scene of
Right.
them with their leader at the campsite. Maybe that's where things go wrong.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like we didn't need Koechner by himself and a
Right.
deer. Like where was all this together? Like
Right.
I don't know. Could they not afford him? He shows up at everything. He can't be that much money.
Right. And like it even goes against like kind of like ruins the step even Augie's character as being like this guy obsessed with scouts even in high school, because like he didn't look like he gave a shit that he wasn't getting his like Optimus Prime scout badge. Like he didn't even give a fuck. So why should I?
So I've got to ask the question because we're reviewing a zombie movie. What is your favorite gore gag in Scout's Guide? Because there's a lot. He tries.
I wrote this down. I knew you were going to ask. I knew you were going to ask this. So I put down, I think, because we discussed this with another movie, a very different movie. I like the shot of the balls going through the head because we know how I feel about that zoom through the. You knew it. You knew it.
I
Didn't
knew that
you?
was Jamie's. Yeah. Well, I had a good instinct that was Jamie's. Because again, I think that's referential. I think he throws a lot of stuff in here that's directly out of other directors' playbooks.
Yeah.
But
I like, and it went through 3 of them, right? In a row.
Yeah.
Like, that's why it was at least a good get. It was like a good.
It's this big, goofy potato gun that neither of the other scouts know why the hell he built it. And then he blows the brains out of 3 zombies with one, I guess it's a pull ball or whatever.
Whatever it was. That was my favorite. That was mine. I was just gonna. And I wrote it down for you because I knew you would ask. You.
I still got to go to the scene where they knock Doris's teeth out. He sticks in another zombie, so if he gets bit, he's not bit by it. And then Doris is gumming Carter's ass. Like I still, because it's the most absurd thing. Like you see, because he's on that couch, and like the way she would just slide his pants down, he's just like no. It's like I don't know. I that's probably one of the few like gags like that actually chuckled at.
They really got you.
Yeah.
John, what about you?
I'm torn between the stripper scene and the wiener scene.
Mm-hmm.
They both go on too long, but like if you trim those up, those are like almost instant classics.
Yeah,
the stripper bottle is really good. The stripper bottle got me. I was just like, that's a good one. Nasty. With her falling over and pouring it. That was a good one.
And you could tell Landon put that one in his bag for the opening kill in Freaky.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because people react to that. I mean, that's nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Freaky, I get distracted though about the saw, what's it called, the table saw scene or whatever. Like that one's, I think. They run someone through like a tape in the wood shop.
Oh yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which he not to burst your bubble. He uses I think he recycles a lot of his stuff because he does that. He does that in Paranormal Activity, Swinging on Mish.
I won't be seeing that.
Can I make you a suggestion?
Yeah, no.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I didn't even want to watch it the first time, and I was forced to against my will on Halloween night.
And
Dave, what's yours?
I'll give you a hint. She's 5 feet tall, full of hellfire and fury.
How's your mom doing?
Boom, roasted.
Oh.
I did not answer, so I will quickly answer before we move on.
Yeah.
Because I distracted us with the commentary about Freaky.
Yeah.
I'll go with the fire scene where they light Dave Koechner on fire. I just love a good fire stunt.
Mm-hmm.
So this way I'm not picking something else everybody else has, but
and his squealing is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's not bad. And obviously Dick Tarzan is it's there.
Yeah, that's mine. I mean, yes, it goes on too long. It's the reason that we reviewed. It's the reason I put you all through this experiment. But yeah,
we have to assume he's uncircumcised, right? That's like one of the things.
No,
that's
when he
holding on.
throws it into his mouth, it is circumcised.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
It is
For a
funny though.
circumcised penis. All right.
Like John said it earlier, and I totally. So now all the movies we're doing, I've seen them all. But I know where the dick scene is in almost all of them, except for this, because I hadn't seen this.
Mhm.
So like, and actually I don't remember Deathgasm, so that's okay. But like, it's funny, John, because I'm watching it the whole time, waiting to see it and what level of dick it is. Like, I was just like, oh, is it just like, is it just gonna be a visual, or is it like, so this did fulfill the year of the wiener?
I was gonna say,
like, it fulfilled.
Since
the
we're talking
purpose.
about it, let's go ahead and rate on a scale of 1 to 10 the year the wiener quality of the scene in.
This
I
is
mean,
definitely
this
the longest
fulfilled.
dick
Yeah.
of the year of the winter. So by
Literally
that
and
sense,
figuratively.
the biggest dick. So I feel like this 10 on 10 dick scale. Like this is the biggest dick of the thing. Argue that probably
May not have started that way, but it ended that way.
yeah, like it's like well, I mean, growing on a shower,
I feel like we have to wait till we're done to give like the ratings
Right.
on how
you want to do dick rating? Okay.
and how
Oh, yeah.
wienery everyone is. But I mean, this definitely fulfilled. I mean, I love Piranha. I love Piranha way more than this movie.
Uh-huh.
But Piranha's dick scene is a dick scene. It's a minor dick scene. And from
Mhm.
what I remember, some of the other ones we're doing are just flash in the pan kind of.
Yeah.
Like this is definitely there's
This one
a reason
goes for
this
it.
movie
Some says it
Line up.
thrusts it right towards you.
And
I-
actually,
thrust.
it's the movie that Nicki Minaj ended up writing Anaconda after watching.
Oh,
she was
Hmm.
inspired, but
Oh, yeah. Well,
okay.
they also partnered with Subway, right, for the $5 footlong, I think, if I remember correctly.
boom.
It just tastes like wet bread. Ugh.
No, hey, well, I'm pretty sure Subway is Latin for wet bread.
That whole trampoline scene, fun fact, that is actually pulled directly from an old Super Nintendo game.
Yeah, zombies ate my neighbors.
Yep.
I
Oh, my
love
God,
Zombies
yeah,
Ate
that's
My
right.
Neighbors. Oh my God. I can
Yeah.
hear the theme music until I
Mhm.
die. Like it'll
Then
be
you
in
go
my
to
head
trampolines.
until I die.
You gotta
Glad
have
you
the
picked up
trampolines
on
to
that,
get
Dave.
from yard to yard. So for all the young kids out there, just know that this scene was inspired by a 30, 40-year-old game at this point.
Yeah.
Well,
I played
so
it on
they
Sega, right? Did I play on Genesis? Sega Genesis? That's what I
had
30
both,
mean.
yeah.
years.
That's what I mean. But I had to say, I think I played it
Yeah.
on Sega Genesis.
and they were different. The games
they?
are different. Yeah.
So weird how that was
Well, and
common
then
back then.
when the first PlayStation came out, they did their own version of it.
did?
But you played as a zombie and wandered around a 3-room house, trying to get into places to eat people. You couldn't control the camera, so literally after the first 5 steps, you'd be behind a fucking wall and would spend the next 2 hours trying to figure out how to get back in the
Get
camera
out
view.
from-
Played
that
that
sounds
for a
like
day.
fun. That sounds like a lot of fun.
10 out of 10, IGN.com.
It
Reminds
was.
me of the game Haunting for Sega.
Oh,
you
I
could
forgot.
be,
Oh my
that was
a
god,
good one.
yeah.
The ghost where you possess various things. You have to scare the family
Yeah.
out of the
Mhm.
house.
Forgot about that
That's a good
game.
one.
So it sounds like we've said our piece about this movie.
Yeah,
I
think
do
we were there.
appreciate y'all having a good attitude about it. It's not a good movie. It's a good movie for
fine.
this Camp Wicked Wild.
Oh, absolutely.
deserved
If
its play in-
yeah.
in what
We
we're
didn't talk
doing.
about honking boobs though either.
We did not talk about honking boobs. Fun fact for anybody who's a big fan, that is actually Missy Martinez, a famous adult actress.
Oh
who's playing the
yes.
police officer.
That's
That's
why.
2 in a row.
Yep.
2 movies
What,
in a
4
row.
stars? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
should've-
well yeah, because you guys had Gianna Michaels in
Yep.
the last one.
Next year is year of the boobies. That's what I'm saying.
Jamie's going to
That's
be
very,
angling.
but we've had this conversation because that's so easy to do in horror that it defeats the
Yeah,
whole.
you'd
it's
have to
like,
whittle it
it's-
all down. It would,
Yeah,
there'd be
it's
too much.
stupid. It has to be like just zombie boobies or
Some would say
If
we'd
you
have
ever-
to get it to the tip.
Who would say that?
Some would.
Someone.
Some would.
So if I had to sum this whole movie up in one factoid, and the reason that I think it doesn't land for most people, if you look at their uniforms, obviously they can't use Boy Scouts of America, obviously. So the patch actually says American Scout Society. Ass. That's pretty much all you need to know about
That's kind of funny. But like,
But really, yeah, that's the whole thing. But and again, I do watch this movie once every couple of years or so because I really, really like Happy Death Day, and I was really
I love
surprised how much I loved Freaky. And to go back and watch this, you can see the ingredients there. But he got him a great editor, and he grew up a little bit as a writer and as a director, and he kind of he learned that system. And he's one of those guys that you really feel like he took the criticism people gave this movie and took it and kind of improved his craft in a lot of ways. But I'll still, this is the way I defend it to people when they talk about how trashy it is. This would have been a great Deathgasm, a $1 million low budget trying to put it together. The energy of a low budget movie, and it's not just that it doesn't have money, the energy of an independent low budget movie is just so different than a studio movie that they've got a huge marketing campaign behind and a bunch of freaking producers getting behind and putting their fingers on. This would have been a fun little throw off where you didn't have the money to go into a laboratory and then to a freaking house party and all. You had to do it in a little campsite.
had to do in a little, in a confined. I mean, Christopher Landon is someone, because of everything you said, like I get excited when I see his name, which is why when this ended and I saw his name, I was more just surprised because of how excited I get when I see his name. However, I did watch that new, or kind of new, but that We Have a Ghost.
Yeah.
I can't recommend that to anybody.
Yeah. It almost feels like he took a step backwards.
He did. He did take, or he tried to do family in a way that, like, I wouldn't say
the David Harbour one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's too long. He needs an editor again. Like it's got scenes that go on way too long, and it tries to hit emotional beats that it kind of doesn't hit. And it's a weird, I saw what he was doing with some of the things, and we're not here to talk about that movie. I think it was like, supposed to like harken back to like some 80s family movie, like 80s, like
money
family friendly kind of movies. But I think he needs to stick with his Happy Death Day, his Freak. I think he needs to stick with the comedy of like adult teenage comedy. Like, I don't know. He does that well.
Yeah.
You know what's weird? He must have, after he wrote Paranormal Activity Swing and a Mish, people must not want to have much to do with him, because his next two projects he did was he wrote the made-for-TV movie version of Highway to Heaven, which Michael Landon, eat your heart out, and that he did a screenplay for that. We Have a Ghost. Like that's all he's done.
Yeah, but We Have a Ghost was like kind of big. Like I think they wanted him. Like I don't know.
Well, on like Netflix, but he just did the screenplay for it.
Oh, he did. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
is he Michael Landon's kid?
Yep.
Is he really?
Yeah.
That's why he wrote. I did not know that. I didn't think he had a kid because I thought he was too busy being drunk in alleys. But
no, he's got two kids.
Oh my god!
In the industry, as they say.
Well, I guess as they say, there's no TV in the Little House on the Prairie.
So, Joe, I did have one question for you, and it's off of something Joe and I. The rest of the hosts don't know this. Joe and I had a quick little conversation last night on Slack about this. And then the last GIF you put in was the Die Hard Nakatomi scene.
Yeah, Hans Gruber phone.
Was that in reference to the scene in this? Because it's a direct plate by plate mirror of it.
It is. So after he falls from the dick, it cuts right to that overhead, like the bird's eye shot. You had referenced it a few other times. There's a bunch of just not boilerplate, but homages to other movies. And that's where I think it feels like a horror by sampling, as he's trying to get a feel for like, okay, I want to have this in the movie. How do I shoot it? And that's where I find it interesting watching somebody learn like that, because that's what it felt like it was. Yeah. But yeah, that 100% was.
I was wondering if when you sent that GIF, if that was, I didn't want to mention it then until we talked about it because I wanted to have but yeah,
no, I was actively
saw it and then
while watching it. And that's why like you got the Lawrence of Arabia, him just like looking down and just being like this, like.
Well, like I even think he because I was even wondering if the way they fell over the fence is the same way in that scene in Hot Fuzz when they're all jumping the fence, that chase scene.
Oh, it's in all of the.
It's in Shaun of the Dead also, and
right.
Kind of when they're doing the fence.
Right, but like the order in Hot Fuzz, like the way each of them fall, it almost looks exactly like. And I was wondering, like, oh, did he take that from Hot Fuzz? Like I saw a couple scenes like that, and like it's like, all right,
Well, and I hadn't thought about it this way, but maybe that's the best way to articulate kind of what I feel. And to what you just said, Joe, is he's got so many references in here, but it does feel like it's a confidence thing. Like he doesn't have enough voice confidence in himself. He knows these are things that work, that people react to, that are iconoclastic within the industry. So he resamples them into his movie because this is a safe space because it worked in X, Y, and Z, but there's no structure to it. But it does overall feel like it's a confidence thing. Like he's trying to stitch together things that he loves, and he's trying his best to do an honorable homage to it, but he just has no confidence.
And I kind of wonder too, if he wanted to do an hour and 30 and it got to the point where he's like, not going to make it, they just start putting filler in. Yeah. And that's when you start seeing a bunch of homages going in so he can hit that hour 30 mark. Because like there are definitely scenes where like those like I would notice like 2 or 3 of those in a row, and I'd be like, well, one would have been fine. Mm-hmm. Like it didn't add to anything. It just felt like he was almost just trying to fill that hour 30 mark.
Yeah, I definitely think you're right there. Where I think, as opposed, yes, he definitely is trying to work those techniques in. End of the day, I think he just loves fucking movies and wants to reference the movies that he loves. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if that was like the main driving factor. And also, if you can get a studio to pay you to learn how to actually do that, eventually to be able to do it better and then better and then better.
Yeah. If you get to start with a studio flick, it's a great way to spend money that you don't have to spend yourself.
That's crazy.
And just like I said with the other scene, I will always go to bat for a movie that gives me a zombie Dave Koechner running around motorboating the bust of Dolly Parton while 9 to 5 plays. I will go to bat for that movie. I know it's a bad movie, but I'll be damned if you don't let that thing exist.
That was my one issue, where they're trying to point out tropes real quick of like, oh, these scouts are weird. Look at this. Augie is socially inept, and then it gets better from there. Dave Koechner, oh, look at this weird guy, loves scouts. Oh, and he loves Dolly Parton. Like, sir, let's take 3 steps back. There's nothing wrong with loving
that woman is a saint. A saint.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Anything else on Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse?
Pick new music, Landon. Pick new music.
Again, it's a 10-year-old movie, so it might have been relatively new at the time.
Listen, that would have been the year I was with that company.
Okay.
I knew them songs. I didn't catch it then, but you know what? I was younger, Eli, then. I wasn't as jaded by the world.
You still had hope in your heart?
A little bit.
So any guesses on what Dave's Critter Corner could possibly be on this
Cats?
week? It is. It's on the common house cat known as Felis catus. Descended into 2 strains. There are 2 different strains of the origination of the house cat, but both are ancestors. Both are ancestors of a cat that is the North African, Southwest Asian, same region wildcat, Felis sylvestris libica. Domesticated cats show up in history around the Near East Neolithic period, which is around 8,000 years ago. I think 9,500 years ago is the oldest tomb that's been exhumed that had a domesticated cat in it. Lifespan of a house cat is 12 to 18 years. They're pretty long lived. A few fun facts about the house cat. Cats have fewer taste buds than dogs or people. I didn't know that. So they do not taste sweet, which is why cats don't respond or have sweet tooths like dogs do. Cats' brains are more biologically similar to humans than dogs are. Have the same lobes and everything, just smaller versions. They have the same number of brain cells as in their cerebral cortex as the brown bear. Just a smaller, much denser brain cell in a cat than in a brown bear. I didn't know this, and maybe Jaime does, but I didn't know that a cat literally uses its dew claw as a thumb. Like it uses it as an opposable thumb. It can grip things, which is interesting.
Cats are crazy. It's just, I had 3 of them. I have 2 now, but
on average, they sleep 2/3 of the day. For 1/3 of the time that they're awake, they spend it cleaning themselves. So that's how the cat spends its time. A group of cats is called a clouder. Who knew that?
Mm.
So So when you go to a crazy cat person's house, just say, "Where's your clouder?"
I have a clouder
Do you?
I have a clouder too.
Sweet.
of cats.
How many cats do you have?
Oh, that's
I
right.
knew
You guys
had
do
one.
have. That's
No,
right.
we have
No,
we have two.
they have two.
Okay,
Yeah, they have
cool.
two. Yeah, we
Yeah.
have the same. We have the same ratio cats
Yeah.
to dogs in our houses.
That's
Took me a second. I was sitting here thinking, like, I'm like, oh shit, that's right. You guys do.
What do you guys think? I just like I'm like sitting here and I'm like I hear group animals. I'm like, yeah, I gotta gaggle. Gotta gaggle over here.
I forgot for a second. Like Dobby's so on my brain, I forgot. Like,
Oh, I'll try to explain my cats why you forgot them.
What are their names?
My cats,
Mhm.
Talia and Sage.
Italian Sage. And
Yep.
the most important fact you need to know, and if you haven't been listening to our show, you've missed this factoid from our resident master of all knowledge, Eli. Cats will make you zombies, which is relevant to this movie here. So,
Mhm.
what was the disease? It was some sort of parasite you could get.
oh yeah,
From
that's
the
right.
Toxoplasmosis.
There you go.
Uh,
So
Parasite
learn more
from
about
cat
that,
poop.
go
Cats
back and
are-
listen to our campfire tale on zombie things
Mhm.
from
Mhm.
earlier this year, and you'll learn all about how cats will make you a zombie.
Cats are
Especially when you're inhaling
like,
over their litter box, which why you would, I don't know, but I wouldn't do it.
well, they're
Should probably wear a mask.
Probably.
every time you clean litter box. They're friggin' wicked smart too. Like cats are fucking out of control. Like people think dogs are. I love my dog to death. Dogs can be trained. Cats are just fucking smart. Like they're
They will decide what they will
deceptive.
do.
They are. Oh my god. I mean, I love my cats to death, but they are. I mean,
They
Oh yeah,
they did a
they are
study.
extremely petty sometimes.
oh,
too.
they're pet. They're just like, oh my god.
They did a study, and if you have a close enough bond with your dog and you die, that dog will starve to death before it eats you.
Oh, that's right. Cat.
Cats, they said they did a study and they
It's a
found
10-minute rule.
that it was like 15 minutes after they were out of food, they would start picking at your corpse.
Well, cats like I'm going to state this wrong fact. I mean, you did, but like cats like also like domesticated themselves. Like they learned that we have like food. You know what I'm trying to say? And like they just
Yeah.
were like,
We were an easy resource.
yeah, you're going to
Yeah.
give it to me.
I'm
Where-
pretty sure that happened in Egypt because like they'd be the desert and it was hard. And then when like meccas of human started like gathering and they were like, oh, look at the kitties. They're like, oh, well, these fucking fools will feed us. And then the idiots
them
started
clean up my crap.
worshiping us. Yeah, like and all these idiots are worshiping us, fucking feeding us, cleaning my shit with a scoop.
God.
Fuck you,
I mean,
people.
Mecca's not in Egypt though. Eli.
No, I'm saying I'm not saying the actual Mecca. I'm saying like the term Mecca.
A Mecca.
Like
yeah,
a Mecca.
A Mecca.
Yeah, well, I
Mecca
didn't
like
mean,
a high Mecca,
Giant
you know?
fucking robots.
but they like a Mecca of humanity, if you will.
A metropolis.
A shite, as some may call it.
So Eli, what are we following up Scout's Guide in just a few days? 3 days, we're going to get a campfire tale out for this bad boy. What are we going to?
Well, you know, as you know, with the You're the Wiener and the campfire tales, we're doing the biggest dicks in history, and so I'm choosing the biggest dicks involving paranormal and things. And I thought of all the movies we're doing, this movie literally is the biggest dick, the biggest dead dick. So I thought, what's the best way to follow that up with the biggest dead dick in history? So we're going to be talking about the real story of the Annabelle doll and the Warrens, both the biggest dicks in their field. So
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
so we're talking about Annabelle.
Sweet.
Eli, you and I should have done the thing where you could have like gone and like had dinner with what's her face.
You know
Warren.
what? I'm gonna
But
say-
I realized I would have laughed in her face, and I felt like that
I'm gonna say something weird, and
disrespectful.
I have, as somebody who's enjoyed the paranormal, I have and these types of things. I've known about the problematic with the Warrens for a long time, especially too, like a lot of people don't realize the disservice they did with their shenanigans, because in some of their cases they actually stumbled upon what could have been real evidence if they hadn't gone in there like a cat and shit all over it. But when that show Paranormal State was on, and old lady Lorraine Warren, who by that time was heavy vibing from the lady in Poltergeist, goddamn if I did not love her every episode. I don't know why.
Really? I never watched. I just like
knew she was a dick, but every time they'd have her stumble into somebody's house with that douchebag from Penn State, and she'd be like, "His house feels evil." I'm like, "Oh goddamn you, Lorraine! Goddamn you!" I just couldn't help myself.
I can't quit.
I just can't. I knew, and like I even remember, like there was one episode, and she was doing her same shenanigans, and I was like, "God damn! Look at you, 900 years old out here still playing the game."
Here's a little taste of Campfire Tales that's coming.
Oh, it's happening, yeah, for sure.
So we do want to thank Joe for joining us tonight. Thanks so much, Joe. I know you always have 100 different things going on. So what are the things you want to promote? Tell people about here at Spooky Season that's going on in your life.
So we have a new website that we are launching for Films at First Sight. You can find that at filmsatfirstsight.com. That will be launching, it's launched by the time this is released.
The magic of time.
Yes, right? Amazing. And you can find me kind of all over the place. I am well overdue on having you guys a written article. Things have been kind of crazy as we're kind of getting the main show rebuilt and reformatted. So find us at Films at First Sight _ or FFS _ podcasts on most social medias except for Blue Sky. No Film Left Behind is another side project that I will slowly creep out with Jody from Dads from the Crypt, and we are still on our Horny on Main kind of like subvent and butting up against the people that don't want sex in movies. We are diving well into the deep end. And our next episode is going to be looking at adult film stars who have made the leap into feature films.
Hey, and we had a connection this week.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Missy Martina is there for you.
So you can find me and my friends there. And that's about it for what I have, I think. Yeah.
That's plenty.
Stumble upon that.
It's really important to note right now that Joe was on the happy side during our Cocaine Bear screening in the movie theater. I just want to say that because
I enjoy myself during.
I know you did.
Amazing.
So did I, Joe. And there was 3 of us who did. But just saying.
I will not apologize.
Well, maybe if you were able to come, you would have had a better time.
Maybe. You know what?
You had a belly full of cat head biscuits.
Don't even know that is. That's not even funny.
Sawmill gravy.
Listen.
I could have shared a bear claw like Lady in the Tramp.
Oh my god! But beard on, a little bit beard on beard action. Listen, I'm telling you, the next time I don't care what's going on.
You're coming.
I will be there.
Yep.
And I'll be in there in my Jeep, playing conspiracy TikToks out the window for the world to hear.
We're gonna find the next movie. It's either when Piranha 3D comes back in theaters. If
then
that
please
happens very
do not
soon.
invite
so you're
me to
invited. You never saw it, so you have to come.
I did see it.
And
We have
then
no proof of that.
whatever other movie we pick that comes out.
Okay, fair enough.
So thank y'all for listening to episode 2 of Camp Wicked Wild. And I don't think my cohorts here know this. We're at like 48 movies that we've reviewed. So we're going to actually cross the 50 movie playing here during Camp Wicked Wild in a couple of weeks for the movie that Jamie's referenced a couple of times. But anyway.
Sorry, I didn't mean to spoilers, but this movie reminded me so much of it.
Yeah, Dave released the list.
I know he did. That's why, but we're going to be talking about it. I don't want to talk about it.
I'm excited. That if it's been a couple years since I watched it, but that's my favorite movie of all the ones we're doing.
Oh,
is it? I mean, I
love
remember really
Film.
liking it, and I think I've watched it twice, so this will be 3. But I've spread them out, so I don't remember.
Very cool.
They're currently trying to crowdfund a sequel.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that guy had a rough go of it there for a couple of years on his social media because he kept running his mouth.
Yep.
Oh,
we're not going to get into that now, but if you're interested, you can go find it. There's a whole lore behind.
That's not what we do here.
No, we don't do that. We don't.
What we do here is you come, you listen to Dave's warm molasses voice, be the voice of reason. Jamie presents you the finer things in life and the opinion of the sophisticated. John using his dulcet tones to make you wonder sometimes about yourself and the people you know.
Okay.
And then me bringing you the real truth.
Eli blowing out his mic, screaming,
How dare you.
aliens.
You're
over-
blowing
Listen, you did this to me, Dave.
Blowing
Alex
out my-
Jones Jr.
Headphones.
You, Dave, are the reason I check sites every day now. So I'm like, oh, what can I talk about next week? And now I'm afraid.
Yeah.
You have made me afraid.
You poor man.
And like you're driving me to like what I never thought Eli version 2.0, which I didn't think the world wanted or was ready for. And like now it's here.
You know, there's a really good Billy Joel song that I think you should go check out, Eli. It's called Angry Young Man.
Oh, how dare you.
It's an inspiring tale of a man who puts his back against the wall and says, no more. It's the life you're living at this point.
Maybe I'm not the hero we deserve,
You are the hero we deserve.
but I could be the hero we need.
You are the
Looking
hero.
at the state of the world,
You
Dave's
are the
right.
hero we deserve.
We deserve. We may have not wanted you, but
I
we
don't
deserve
think
you.
that was a compliment, but you know what? God damn it, I'm gonna take one anyways.
If you want to learn more about us, there's information about each of my beloved hosts and our guest host this week over on our website, thewickedwild.com. And then if you want to see our merch, we've got some fun stuff over there. I'm actually going to be throwing in social media a couple of opportunities for some giveaways during Camp Wicked
No,
Wild.
Eli,
If
you can't win.
Well, no, like last year though, my
Not
cousin
your cousin.
Eli want to know if I answer for him, can we send it to Beli?
No.
No, sorry.
Nope.
Man, Jamie, I thought we were so close tonight. We were like,
I was all for it, but Jamie is the keeper of the code.
Yeah, wow.
so
well, Jamie, I hope you write an apology card to Beli. That's all I'm saying.
If you want to follow us on social media, you can do that on Twitter. That's all we'll ever call it until it implodes, which could be any day now. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
when he starts talking about, if people will just pay me a nominal
Charging.
subscription, yeah,
Hey,
you just
That's gonna
signed your-
stop the bots, bro. It's gonna stop the bots.
We are on
Uh-huh.
there right now, unless now when this comes out, he's done that and we won't be there. At Wicked While We Are. We're also on Slasher, which is the horror only community, which we're having a little fun with at Wicked While We Are. We are on Instagram at Wicked Wild Pod. And if you want to follow us and see the beautiful HD glory of our faces and the crazy eyes of Eli as he literally loses his grip on reality each and every week, you can follow us on YouTube. Just look up the Wicked Wild Podcast. Thanks for listening. We're so glad that you've enjoyed, or we're so glad that you joined us. We hope you've enjoyed what we're giving you this week. Thank you for spending some of your spooky season with us. If you have any questions or feedback or any thoughts that you want to send me, you can do it at our email. It's podcast, podcast, at thewickedwild.com. Anything else? Did I miss anybody?
No.
All right.
Phil will take care of me though, because when I lose my grip on reality, I will be showing up at one of your houses in my underwear, covered in mud.
I'm
You're
sure
just
your
leaving
lovely
Mary
wife's gonna
behind.
take good
Yeah,
care
I was
of
gonna
you.
say.
Well, by that
she's-
point, I don't know
She
what's
signed
going
on
on.
for this when she
You'll probably get a message like,
having-
"Hey,
having to hold. and
Eli, like I came
better or
home.
worse.
There was a hole in the window. His clothes are in the yard. There's a big mud
Oh,
pit."
so she's coming to us actually when she
Well,
can't find
she's
you.
gonna right, but then like one of you, like you're gonna hear a trash can knocker in the middle of the night. You're gonna be out there like a raccoon,
You know
She will
what?
send
I
the
know
warning
you-
shot.
I know that you will not be in the streets of New York City, so I'm fine. So one of you are responsible for him because he will not be sitting
crap,
outside.
I've got a
Manhattan.
cave.
He ain't
Yeah.
going north.
Davis.
Dave, he's coming for
You
you.
live in the woods, Dave. I hope you got a bed made up for me.
It's a good thing you got those security cameras.
Got a couple of dogs to keep you warm now. So
Hey, that'll be fine. But you know what? And you'll be thankful when I come out of my mind speaking the real truth.
I just can't wait for Eli to come out of his mind. And on that note, we hope that you'll get lost because it may be the only place you can find yourself.
Or me.
Bye.